Hi, my name is Aida, and this is my project Zora's Flight to the Sky City. In the next few minutes, I will take you through the process of creating this work, starting with the background, then the character design, the environment, the previs, the rendering, and finally the cinematic teaser, which is a 1-minute animated sequence. This project is very important to me because it represents my skills as a 3D generalist and the direction I want to grow in as a creative professional. I began developing Zora, which is the main character in my sequence, during the class of RTA 300 during Term 2 of 2025. At that time, the workshop environment and the airship were created by the class as group assets, and my main contribution was the character design. For this portfolio project, I wanted to take her much further and complete the world around her. The goal was to turn her into a finished animated cinematic teaser and create a clear visual identity for her story. So for this project, I created a new narrative and a new story. Here I'm going to talk about the character design stage. I started with sketches, then a finished 2D art of Zora's personality and silhouette, imagining her as a young inventor living in a cyberpunk industrial world. What we see now is the turntable of the final result of Zora as a character after she was built in 3D and textured and rendered. Modeling, retopology all happened in Maya, making the UVs that was all in Maya software. This clip shows the full pipeline, sculpting in ZBrush for certain areas. Texturing was done in Adobe Substance Painter. This was a very satisfying process, adding different layers and different shaders, all of those fine details, refining everything, the hands, the gloves, the clothes, even the eyelashes. That was really something I enjoyed so much, and I would see myself doing this a lot in the future. I also created a robot companion to fit my new story and my new narrative. So I began designing that one too. I modeled and textured it in Maya and rigged it there as well. I really enjoyed every step of the way in creating those two characters. And this is where I feel my strongest. My strongest side is in modeling and probably texturing. Refining the shapes, the clothing details, and putting the materials together was one of the most satisfying parts of the whole process. Now we will have a look at the environment and the lighting work. The workshop environment was already there. It existed from the RTA class. But I made several changes to support the cinematic look. I retextured the counter, I adjusted its proportions, and worked on the lighting to create an atmospheric mood. One of the details I focused on was the animated screens. I created the interface animations in After Effects. I exported the images as PNG sequence and connected them to the shaders in Maya. This short clip shows the animated screens by themselves. It's a subtle detail, but it adds movement and makes the workshop feel alive. Now we come to one of the most important stages of this cinematic teaser. It's the previs. The previs is like directing a film. I used the Maya camera sequencer to plan the shots, test the timing, and understand how the story would flow. The sequence was designed to fit a screen that has a wide aspect ratio. I had to design every shot with a strong center focus, while still taking advantage of the wide format. I'll play the previs now. This step really helped me finalize the pacing and camera movement before going into full rendering. Now, after the previs was finalized, a very important step is the animation process. This stage was very challenging. Animation was honestly the hardest part for me. I struggled with broken curves, gimbal issues, and timing that didn't feel natural at first. But then I started to make sense of it. I had to clean up the animation graph, apply Euler filters, and redo several movements before they worked. Even though it took a lot of trial and error, it helped me understand animation on a deeper, more technical level. Now we come to the rendering and the technical development. I wanted to show some of the rendering tests because this was one of the most challenging parts, mainly because of how time-consuming it was. Here are a few earlier frames where I was adjusting the camera, the bucket size, and the lighting quality. I also tested atmospheric volume. It also slowed the process down a lot. Balancing quality and time became its own learning experience. I also learned how to work properly with EXR files in After Effects and Premiere Pro. I had to set up the correct color space and make sure all the shots matched. Now we are reaching the end as we watch the final sequence. First shot, wide camera. We open with a low rising camera angle that reveals Zora in her workshop. This shot sets the mood and introduces her environment and her focus. She walks toward the counter, already concerned about what she's seeing on the screens. Second shot, close-up camera. The camera circles around Zora as she studies the screen data. I animated her facial expressions in this close-up to highlight her worry and tension as she tries to understand what's going on, and she calls for her robot assistant. Third shot, meeting the robot. Here the robot enters from the right and hands Zora the device. It's a simple shot, but it's important for showing their relationship and setting up the next story beat. Shot 4. Examining the device. Zora inspects the device closely. This shot focuses on her reaction and the small movements that lead into the final action. Shot 5, placing the device. We move behind Zora as she inserts the device into the counter. The rotating camera adds energy to the moment and signals that something is changing. Shot 6, screens reacting. The screens light up and the information changes, ending with systems ready instead of systems alert as we started. This shot highlights the animated UI work I created in After Effects. Now, in the final two shots, 7 and 8, Zora's excitement as Zora reacts to the update. It's a subtle but important shift in animating her facial expressions from concern to excitement, showing her emotional journey. And in the final shot, we follow Zora and the robot toward the airship. Then the camera circles and rises to reveal the airship. This final shot closes the teaser on a hopeful cinematic moment. Each shot was designed carefully to carry the story forward and show emotion, movement, and atmosphere. And in my reflection on this project, I would say that this project taught me so much about the full 3D pipeline. It made me realize that my strongest areas are modeling, texturing, and look development. And it also showed me where I need to continue improving, especially animation and render optimization. Most importantly, I was able to carry on many roles, the director, the modeler, and the animator, in order to make this as a finished cinematic piece. I'm so proud of how much I learned, and I'm excited to keep developing Zora and her world. And thank you for watching.